Hi there, you're watching NeuroMoves on the couch. I'm Jess, exercise physiologist from NeuroMoves Canberra.
And I'm Noah, physiotherapist from NeuroMoves Adelaide.
We're going to be talking today about navigating exercise after stroke. So Noah, I think one of the really important things to chat about is, that transition from maybe that hospital setting to back home and into the community and what that looks like for people recovering post-stroke. There's that really big change around the environment. So having that team of healthcare professionals around you and maybe getting seen to by physios, nurses, OTs, family members visiting in that hospital setting, and then trying to find yourself again when you do transition back home. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. And I think obviously that's something in our setting that we kind of have to sort of bridge that gap for people where it is a change of setting and expectations where they're not going to get the same just 5 days a week, hours per day, a whole team around them all the time. And we've kind of got to try to pick up the slack a little bit for that and still make sure we work with, most of the time they're going to still have a wider healthcare team, but that's obviously going to be a big transition for people where all of a sudden they've got everything basically there with them all the time and probably making lots of gains and all that. Not that we want to slow down the gains, but it's going to be a drop off a little bit in terms of just how much they're able to get seen all the time. So that can definitely be an adjustment period for people. And I think that's where obviously those early goals with people, it's really trying to get them out of that sort of rehab space in that hospital setting, whereas we then need to set those and try to work with people around getting those longer goals and more into the community, which is, where we want to be kind of realistic with people. We don't want to ever sort of cut anyone short on their goals, but also just work to things that are obviously achievable, at least in the sort of medium to longer term. Stick with that focus. What are your thoughts on the more goal-setting side of things?
Yeah, look, I think one of the challenges that I imagine these people experience is that getting into that routine and actually finding support services outside the hospital setting. So finding places like NeuroMoves or other supports, community activities, working out what level of support they need, whether that's transport or ways that they can actually get out and about, attend different activities. It might be that they're returning to work or transitioning into a different rehab program. So I think there's lots of things that can be quite overwhelming and daunting. But like you said, it's really important that we have some really clear goals, and I think that's something really good to talk about is setting goals in this environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think talking to clients around neuroplasticity, it's a bit of a buzzword, but basically just means that your brain is still able to make changes even if after it has had some sort of damage to it, as is obviously the case with a stroke. So that's where, talking to clients around that, and that other areas of the brain can pick up the slack essentially for that more area that's been impacted. Even if some area like your speech has been affected or some more cognitive functions, so just ability to think about things in the same way, memory loss, all that kind of stuff. Other areas of the brain can pick up the slack, and even though we might not always be directly targeting that, some of our exercises and adding in a bit of a cognitive challenge to things as well, adding in some like memory test while moving, things like that, can be a great way of working on some of those areas as well.
Yeah, I think that dual tasking aspect is something that we can definitely build up to. One thing I like to do with my clients is setting really clear goals. So quite often with the stroke, as we know, that there's often one side of the body that's affected, and that might affect your sort of upper limb and your lower limb. So I tend to think about having one or two really clear goals for maybe your hand function or upper limb function, and maybe something that's around, your stance, your walking, your gait, or whatever level or capacity you have movement for. So it might be something as simple as doing up your buttons on your shirt, or brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, being able to clear that foot when you're taking a step, or even something as much as being able to sit up in bed independently. I think it's really good to have those goal-based options.
Absolutely. And particularly upper limb, there's lots of stuff functionally we can do at home there. Whether it's taking clothes off the clothesline, something like that with that arm. But then working on some like really targeted lower limb stuff. Like obviously a lot of clients are looking to improve their walking, but if we can find something more specific, like they want to get up a small flight of stairs or navigate a little bit of uneven path outside their house, something like that, then that just makes it all the more meaningful for them. And that's where we can really tailor those exercises towards those specific goals.
Yeah, I think one thing I like to do with, or encourage my clients to do as well, is think about stuff you can do outside of the outside of your rehab setting or outside of a clinic. So, obviously you and I in our professions work really closely at helping to optimize movement and prescribing exercise or movement. And I think it's really great when the family can sort of be educated and involved, so that there is that translation from exercise or rehab environment and being able to do that, like you said, functional activity at home and feel like it's got meaning. I think that's really important as you transition back to that home environment and into the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think obviously getting the family on board in those cases where that's relevant can just optimize like the recovery so much more. If they're able to get some more stuff done outside of the clinic, let's say they're in with us 2 or 3 times a week, if those other sort of 4 or 5 days a week they're able to still do more stuff at home and really consistently work on that with the family, or whatever sports they've got outside of seeing us, then everything just becomes far easier from a recovery standpoint. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. This was NeuroMoves on the Couch. You can check us out on Instagram and Facebook for more.